Hello everyone, and thank you for stopping by my YouTube channel, Get Crafty with Sally. My name is Sally Poole. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Welcome. Today I am going to show you how I made this really pretty card using the paper butterfly accents. Don't know if many of you have bought these yet, but they are really fun to play with. They go with the painted lavender set, sort of. They're in that sweet area. They are in the mini catalog. They are on page 23. They are $8 for 40 pieces. There's 8 each of 5 sizes. So if you do much looking on the internet, Pinterest, YouTube, what have you, you'll probably see a ton of card samples made with the painted lavender bundle, the perennial lavender suite. So I'm also using paper from the Softly Stippled Designer Series paper pack, which is a freebie item in the Celebration catalog. It is on page 8. So it's a really beautiful set of Designer Series papers, and I love all the colors together. So let me show you what we're going to need to make this. And I've got my sticky notes on everything here. You can take a screenshot if you like, or you will find the measurements and all the supplies that I used down below this video in the description box. There's a link to the PDF. So I have a basic white card base that's 5.5 by 8.5. I have a piece of distressed gold, which I think is out of stock again. It disappears really quickly, so anytime you see it, you should probably snag some. So this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and remember that I love my distressed gold, so I always cut the center out of mine with my rectangle dies, stitched rectangle dies, so I can use that piece on another project. Then you'll need a piece of basic white, 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I have embossed this with the Time Worn type embossing folder. You'll also need a piece of the Softly Stippled paper, celebration paper, 2 inches by 5 1/4. And then you're going to need some more distressed gold to cut the scallop circle, which is behind this white, and you can barely see it. And then you'll need some more basic white for that actual circle. And it also is embossed with Time Worn type. And then you're going to need a scrap of basic white. And that I've just used to blend some ink on that I've put on these little leafy pieces. So let me show you how to do this. And my way today is going to be kind of messy. You don't have to do all of this if you don't want to. I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, but I have stamped over these butterflies with Versamark and then heat embossed it in gold. And for that, I have used, let me find the stamp. I have used this larger stamp from the Dainty Delight stamp set. I just kind of wanted a bunch of small thin lines, so you wouldn't really even notice a pattern. I didn't try it with anything with a thicker line. You could try that and see if you like it. I do think that it adds a really nice look, but it would look probably almost as good without it on there too. I also put the gold on here and heat embossed it too. These pieces are from the Painted Lavender bundle. So let me show you how I did the butterflies. And I left mine in their little frame. They're barely attached with a few little paper nibs on sides here and there. So let's get some embossing powder on here. I'm going to put it on all of these. If you have your embossing buddy, it's the same thing as this. What it does is kind of covers any oil that you might have from your fingers, and also static to keep the embossing powder from sticking to everything where you're not putting it. So I'm going to take my stamp and my Versamark ink. This is a clear sticky ink. I'm going to ink this up. Looks like I had taken my stamp off the block and not pressed it back on. So I'm just going to start placing it wherever I can. Give that a good press. So I've probably pretty much got that little butterfly covered. So we'll do some more, whoops. Go up here to the top. Put some there. I'm going to try to get some on the little wing piece that I kind of missed. And you can overlap. It's not going to make any difference because we're not really looking to see this image. Whoops, sorry, I bumped the camera. Okay, now we've just got our large butterfly left. So there's some ink there. Put my ink away. And then we'll put a little bit down here on the bottom. Okay, so that should be good for that. Now I'm going to take my gold embossing powder and I'm going to sprinkle it all over these butterflies. And this is kind of tricky to make sure that it gets spread around appropriately without your butterflies coming out of the little frame. but it's okay. Let's see. I think that looks pretty good. So let's get this out of the way. I'm going to grab my heat tool, and it's going to take a few seconds to heat up, and it's noisy. So you could also, if you wanted to, just do one or a couple of these. You could do that while it's in here, or you could pop them out. I didn't want to pop them out because it's easier to bend their little antennas and the wings. And I'm going to heat emboss everything that got stamped on this paper, even though they're not on the butterflies, because I don't want the powder falling all over the place. So you just want to heat it long enough that everything turns really shiny and there aren't any flat looking places. Hopefully you could hear me while I was talking with that on. So let me grab my chair. So if you wanted to do, you were going to make several cards, it really wouldn't take that long, I don't think, to do several of these sheets. So now I'm going to grab my ink pads, and I have Flirty Flamingo, which is in the Designer Series paper pack. I also have Calypso Coral, which is a few shades darker than the Flamingo. And I have Wild Wheat, which is also in the paper pack. I'm going to grab a blending brush, and I'm going to get some ink on it. And I think I will start in the center. Let's just do all of them quickly. So you can see how quickly it actually goes by. So now, let me rub that off a little bit. I'm going to grab some of my Calypso Coral, and I'm going to go around the edges. And remember, this is gonna, you can leave a little bit of white if you want. Remember, this is gonna dry a little bit lighter than you see. And sometimes they move around in here and they might slide under that paper a little bit. So you wanna make sure that you get your edges colored if that's the look you're going for. Maybe you wanna leave some white on the edges. This big one's wanting to get out of there. And there's no rhyme or reason to my coloring here. Whoops. Just bent that one. So let's grab our brush for the Wild Wheat, and it's pretty dark. So I have been putting it on the body and then just a little bit of color here and there. And I just stuck my fingers in the ink pad. And you will notice that underneath this template, if you want to call it that, you have these neat images too. So you could actually take a piece of white cardstock and then punch these out and lay them, you know, all over the cardstock wherever you wanted, and then do this process. You would still get these, but then you also could make a card out of what's left down here. You would need to make sure that you kept these in the same spot while you were doing that. I am going to run over to the sink really quick and wash all this ink off my fingers. I've got it everywhere. Just a second. All right. So the next thing that I did was I am going to take my spritzer, and this has 70% alcohol about 3/4 of the way up and some champagne mist. Don't know if you remember this. Stampin' Up! Used to carry it. They don't anymore. This bottle will probably last me my entire life. I will have a link to a couple places that you can purchase it from. So I'm going to shake this up. I won't do them all, but I'm going to spritz this butterfly, and it just gives it a real pretty sparkly effect. I always show this on the camera, but you can never see it on the video actually, so hopefully you'll try that in person because it really is a gorgeous look. Okay, so let's get that out of the way, and I'm gonna grab, first I'm gonna take I've got embossing powder on stuff. I'm gonna take my 2" by 5 1/4" piece, and I am going to, oops, just dropped my take your pick tool. Somebody's out front. I am going to put it on my embossed piece here. I'm going to put it a little over to the left and leave a little margin. See if I can get it straight. I should have lined it up on some of the grids. There, I think I got it. And I've got a little overhang up here, so I can just cut that off. I cut it from the top, and I can actually feel that basic white paper with my scissors, so I can go right along the edge of that. So now let's take our distressed gold piece and this piece and some glue. Let me get my little glue holder, and I'll just go around the edge, and I want to try to remember not to put glue in the center because I'm just attaching this to that frame. Okay, I put my Designer Series paper on the left. See if I can line that up and get the edges all even. And this gold paper is kind of slick. So next, let's take our tape runner. I think my last video I called it a tape roller. I have no idea where that came from. And I'm going to take my card base, give that a good burnishing again and give it a nice crease. And we'll attach this piece. And next I'm going to take my circles, and again I used, let's see if I can grab it all here for you. I used my Layering Circles Framelits dies, and I used the largest circle over here, which isn't the largest circle. You can see this one down here is bigger, and then the largest one over here, this one down here is bigger. So I used these two because I wanted just a tiny little bit of the edge of that gold. You could use your punches if you have like a 2 3/8 and a 2 1/2, or 2 1/4 and 2 3/8. I also did one with the Stylish Shapes dies, the square ones. I used the second and third largest, and this is what that looks like. So if you have the Stylish Shapes dies, you could do this too. So this, the white one, is actually the third from the largest, and then the gold piece is the second from the largest, but I did cut 1/8 of an inch off of each side of the gold because, again, I didn't want a whole bunch showing. So let's glue our white piece down. And then I'm going to take some dimensionals, and I'm going to put it at the top and the bottom, and then both sides. I want to make sure that I leave this little space down here open, so there's a dimensional here and one here, because I am going to want to put those pieces underneath there and glue them. So I'm going to take the covers off the dimensionals, maybe. And then this embossing folder does have words printed on it, so you want to make sure they are going the right way. And try to line it up so they're straight. So for these little pieces here, the one in the center, which is this one, let me show you the dies. I've got so much stuff everywhere. So the dies are from the Painted Lavender bundle. And for those two little pieces, I've used these two dies. This one piece that I cut one of in the middle is this one. And then the other one that I cut two of is this one. So I took that Dainty Delight stamp again and stamped some more of this in Versamark, and then heat embossed it in gold, and then die cut it. And then I brushed some of the Flirty Flamingo and the Wild Wheat on that. And then for the other two pieces, let me show you what I did quickly. It doesn't take very long. I'm gonna grab my, I guess I should get my scrap here. Grab my Flirty Flamingo and just, I'm starting with my lighter of the orange colors. Get some of this ink and then lightly just rub it randomly here and there. Doesn't really matter if you get little smudgy effects, and you don't need to be really careful doing it. I did try to go for a lighter ink look. So now I'm going to take my Calypso Coral and you don't necessarily need to cover the entire paper. So there's some Calypso Coral. And this is a fun way to create paper for any kind of like foliage or flowers or whatever that you might be wanting to die cut. You can also, now I'm adding my wild wheat. You can also, after you've done this sponging and blending, you could spritz it with some water and blot it with a paper towel, and then you'll get some little, I don't know, raindroppy looking effects on it, which is kind of cool. So there's that. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I will cut one of these little foliage pieces. So I've got my piece here. Figure out which way you think you want stuff to go. I actually didn't use the whole thing. I'm going to cut it off down here at the bottom. So I'll just lay that on there that way. I've got my cutting, or my plate 1, my plate 2, and another plate 2. And I'm just gonna run all that through my little machine. And then we've got the little piece that we need. There are a couple little cutouts in here that might not get cut out when you're doing that, so you'll have to pop those out. Okay, so let's take our, I'm gonna grab my chair again. I'll grab my take your pick tool while I'm down here. It's probably got dog hair stuck to it now. So I'm going to take my 2 little pieces. I'm going to turn it over that way so you can see it. And I'm going to cut this bottom piece off. And I'll put a little bit of glue on both of them. I should have left my scrap paper under there. And then I'm just going to put one underneath here, kind of going toward the right. I'm going to give it a press where the glue is under there. I don't really want it going out over the edge of the card. This one you could make a little longer if you wanted. Give it a press where the glue is. And then we'll take this piece. And I don't think I need all of that length either. So cut that off. Put a little bit of glue on the bottom. I'm going to turn my card since I'm left-handed. Poke that under there. And I actually want it to be at least as long as that, maybe a little bit longer. So there's those little pieces. Now I'm going to set my butterfly where I think I want it. I'm going to take my sentiment, and this sentiment is from the Wonderful Thoughts set. This one also is My Heart Will Always Be Tied to Yours. This one I'm using the Thinking of You. These I stamped again in Versamark and heat embossed them with gold powder. So let's see where we want that to go. That looks pretty good. So I'll put a little bit of glue on the bottom-ish of my butterfly. As you can see, a lot of the butterfly goes off of the circle. So we'll put the butterfly where we want it, give it a little press. And for the sentiment, I'm going to take some of the mini dimensionals and put them on the back. I'm going to take the covers off. I'm going to have to stand up and try to get this straight. So I think all of the little touches of gold look really nice. That looks pretty good. And then for the final thing, I am going to add some of these new champagne iridescent dots. There's a ton of them in here. There are 600, and they come in 3mm, 4mm, 5mm, and 6mm. So for all of us that like the smaller gems and jewels, this is a great pack. So I am going to set a few of these around where I think I might want them. And then I'll scooch them a little bit. And then just put a few little drops of glue. Very minimal. And then this is what the take your pick tool is great for. You can pick these little jewels up and put them right in that glue. That little guy flipped over on me. Okay, so the only other thing that you would need to do is put a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic white on the inside of your card, which obviously I haven't done that yet, but I always do. I just don't usually do it on my videos. So there's that one, and it pretty much looks like the sample that I started with. Here's the one with the square, and this butterfly is going the other way. And then I also have one with the, I think this is, ooh, I want to say Pool Party and Lost Lagoon. Let me make sure. Yes, Pool Party, Lost Lagoon, and Wild Wheat. And then it has a different butterfly. But I did the same process for all these. They're all stamped with Versamark and then heat embossed in gold. So let me know what you think of this card or these cards. And I hope you'll give it a try. I think they're really fun. It is a little bit messy, but that is the way with heat embossing. So anyway, today is Sunday with both of the last NFL games prior to the Super Bowl coming on in about a half an hour. Well, the first one's in half an hour. I'm not a big, well, I like football, but I'm not a big NFL person that knows all the teams and players and stuff, but there's some great teams. 4 great teams are vying to play in the Super Bowl, so that'll be exciting to see who gets there. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. I thank you again for stopping by and spending some time with me. As always, like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you would. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye.